How are we doing today, everyone? Thank you, Andres. Thank you, Park Street, for this opportunity. I'm excited to be here today. As he mentioned, I'm Chris Ladas. I'm the founder of XAL Consulting, which is a craft alcohol beverage consulting firm. I, like many of you, I'm a small business owner, continuously looking for ways to improve my business and provide better services for my clients. Throughout my career, I've always strived to improve sales, work smarter, and not harder. And this leads us to our conversation about data. To begin to speak about data, one must first understand the definition of data. And I'm obviously a little behind on the PowerPoint. Here we go. And data is the facts and statistics gathered together for reference or analysis. That's the Oxford definition. In other words, the quantities, characters, symbols, and operations are performed by a computer, being stored and transmitted in the form of electric signals and recorded on magnetic, optical, or mechanical recording data. So that's a mouthful. Anyone who can repeat that gets a shot on me with one of the 500 brands downstairs. Just tell them I sent you. Not only is data all of those things, but it is also an asset. Data is actually the single most valuable asset on the planet right now. Don't believe me? Ask Google and their bank account. You want power? You need data. You want to sell? You need data. 97%, and let me repeat that, 97% of brands use data to power all of their business opportunities. 76% of businesses use data to form their entire business strategy. I'm here today to discuss how data, and most importantly, the two types of data, can help brands grow efficiently, successfully, and possibly make it just a little less bumpy as we pound the pavement in the world of alcohol beverage sales. To begin speaking about data, we have to understand that there's two types of data, quantitative and qualitative data. These two are very different types, and their uses are reflective of that as well. Let's dive into qualitative first. Qualitative data is the descriptive and conceptual findings collected through questionnaires, interviews, or observation. Analyzing qualitative data allows us to explore ideas and further explain quantitative results. So what are some examples of qualitative data that we can use to demonstrate its characteristics best? Documents, photographs, audio recordings, video recordings, descriptions, questionnaires. So now that we have this picture of what qualitative data is, how do we analyze that? So the most relevant for the alcohol beverage business refers to content analysis. And this is categorizing verbal or behavioral data to classify, summarize, and tabulate the data. You could also use narrative analysis, discourse analysis, framework analysis, or grounded theory. Unfortunately, we don't have time to analyze exactly how each of these works, but I just wanted to break it down so we have an overview of the analytical aspect. So let's talk about how this can relate for a brand. For a brand, qualitative data in the early stages of brand development could be feedback regarding the packaging, label, the taste, the smell, attributes like this. It would be the results from a focus group or a study. This information can be then analyzed and used to ascertain a brand's viability, its appeal in a competitive set, retail appeal, the value proposition in terms of pricing or packaging, and just overall likability of a brand. This can be especially useful for brands that are new or unique coming to the marketplace. For example, a liqueur that has not been exported from its country of origin and it's entering into, let's say, the US market for the first time, or a rare exotic Amazon fruit that's never been distilled. As we know, products are formed and introduced every single day into the US market. Just ask the TTB. Does anyone know about how many colas were introduced last year by the TTB? 20,000, more than 20,000 new colas in a single year. So that tells you about your competition and why data might need to be important. Looking at this, let's look at a little study, let's say, of a tequila qualitative study data. So this could include a focus group, 20 experienced consumers, whose go-to beverage category could be tequila, or even let's call it agave-based spirits. This study would include their thoughts on the packaging and taste and smell and all those things that we had mentioned before, but it can help make the decision of whether this brand is actually viable. It will also help them decide if, at that price point, if there's enough margin to survive, number one, and be profitable enough to actually launch. And with that, we're going to go into quantitative data. Quantitative data is the data that most people think to as their go-to when referring to data. Quantitative data are used when a researcher is trying to quantify a problem or address the what, or how many aspects of a research question. It's data that could be counted or compared on a numeric scale. So examples of quantitative data are counter, measurement of physical objects, sensory calculation, projection of data, or the quantification of qualitative entities. You see the connection here? So if you would drink this, yes, that's qualitative. 5 out of 10 people would drink this, that's your quantitative. So now we can see the connection with that. There are 2 principal quantitative data collection methods. The first is a survey, which is typically executed online now. Closed-ended questions are typically asked, and they can narrow down the answers and help form general answers about the general public. These questions can be asked with emails, QR codes, surveys embedded in websites, or the famous pop-ups after you do an application online. And of course, what's the number 1 way now? Social media. The other method is an interview, which old school, this used to be kind of face-to-face, and now it's converted to telephonic or online platforms, Zoom, telephone calls, anything like that. How many times have you been contacted or chosen to participate in a new survey? All of that is exactly a collection of quantitative data. Quantitative data can be interpreted in various methods as well. Just to mention, we have cross-tabulation, trend analysis, the max differentiation analysis, conjoint analysis, turf analysis, gap analysis. We can't dive into all of these for the sake of time, but my point in mentioning this is to illustrate how many ways in which this data can be interpreted and utilized in the formation of a strategy for the business or the brand. Interpreting the data is just as important as collecting the data. For example, a sales team can learn many things about forming a sales plan or a strategy by trial and error in the market. However, if they can't quantify that information and the data collected, it would be extremely difficult to utilize all of that. In terms of the alcohol beverage business, this could be considered sales figures by case, by category, by account, by location, by consumer, even over a certain period of time. It is quantifiable, it's measured numerically. The most favorable results would help drive the sales team towards a strategy. An example of this could be, let's call it a shot program during a happy hour near a college campus at an Irish pub yielded twice the amount of monthly depletions of a certain type of product. This type of information can help a brand in many, many ways. It can help you choose the correct launch market, where the product is selling best, how the product is selling best, and where the biggest opportunity for a product like this is. How do you structure your e-commerce platform? Who and where to target? Data from the on-premise can help you target off-premise accounts. So let's just do a little scenario real quick about a study that would include maybe 500 people. You divide that into regions like the West Coast, Midwest, the South, East, Northeast. You can divide it by economic class, as well as categorized by their common choice of beverage, right? It could be agave consumers, vodka consumers, whiskey. You're getting feedback on this new product. That would be the qualitative. Then this kind of study can provide precise data as to how many people would drink this particular product and how they might consume it, whether it's their drink of choice, how much they'd be willing to pay for the drink. And all of this is, of course, invaluable for a brand. So to sum it all up, I just hope this presentation has highlighted the main differences between quantitative and qualitative data. And I want to make sure that everyone understands, I'm not a data expert myself, and I'm not here to portray it as that. But I'm someone who understands the value of data and what it can do for new and existing brands. The acquisition of data sometimes seems like an unnecessary or even unaffordable cost in the world of craft or emerging new brands in the market, but I can speak with certainty that it is not. Imagine what it would cost to have a full-time salesperson with benefits and T&E and the A&P budgets and and perhaps even unsuccessful programming in the marketplace, and what that would cost per market. I strongly urge any brands getting ready to launch, if you've even launched already, unsuccessfully or successfully, consider all the data readily available and collect it, organize it, and analyze it. I also suggest taking a step back to regroup and see if there's any data that can make your brand operate leaner and perhaps influence your business strategy to yield a more effective outcome. This type of focus and planning is the difference between achieving the results you want and not. And with that, I thank you for your time today.